Hi friends, I welcome you all here at TNV Academy. In this session, we are going to talk about an international standard ISO 13485 2016. Let's start with Clause 5, Management Responsibility of ISO 13485 2016. In general, this clause 5 of the ISO 13485 2016, it specifies that management must demonstrate their commitment by showing they can be held accountable for the operations within their organization. They have to ensure that their focus does not deter from the needs of the end user and that all laws are followed in the manufacturing process. The management has an absolute responsibility to support the quality policy, confirm its alignment with the laws of the country of work, and communicate the mission to employees. They have a responsibility to plan, delegate authority, and communicate effectively. They are also responsible for a periodic review of operations and improvement within the organization, known as the management review. This clause 5 has been divided into 6 sub-clauses, which are 5.1 Management Commitment, 5.2 Customer Focus, 5.3 Quality Policy, 5.4 Planning, 5.5 Responsibility, Authority and Communication, 5.6 Management Review. Let's start with the subclause 5.1 Management Commitment. This subclause 5.1 states that top management is required to provide evidence of its commitment to the development and implementation of the quality management system and maintenance of its effectiveness by communicating to the organization the importance of meeting customer as well as applicable regulatory requirements, establishing the quality policy, ensuring that quality objectives are established, conducting management reviews, and ensuring the availability of resources. Coming to subclause 5.2, Customer Focus. Subclause 5.2 Customer Focus of ISO 13485 says that the top management is required to ensure that customer requirements and applicable regulatory requirements are determined and met. Let's talk about subclause 5.3 Quality Policy. This subclause 5.3 states that the top management is required to ensure that the quality policy is applicable to the purpose of the organization and includes a commitment to comply with requirements and to maintain the effectiveness of the quality management system. As per this clause 5.3, the top management is required to ensure that quality policy provides a framework for establishing and reviewing quality objectives and is communicated and understood within the organization. Subclause 5.3 specifies that quality policy is reviewed for continuing suitability. Coming to subclause 5.4 Planning of ISO 13485 2016. The subclause 5.4.1 Quality Objectives specifies that the top management is required to ensure that the quality objectives, including those needed to meet applicable regulatory requirements and requirements for products, are established at relevant functions and levels within the organization. As per this subclause, the quality objectives are required to be measurable and consistent with the quality policy. Let me talk about subclause 5.4.2 Quality Management System Planning. According to this subclause 5.4.2, top management is required to ensure that the planning of the quality management system is carried out in order to meet the requirements given in subclause 4.1 of the standard, as well as the quality objectives. The subclause states that top management is required to ensure that the integrity of the quality management system is maintained when changes to the quality management system are planned and implemented. Let's discuss now the clause 5.5, responsibility, authority and communication of ISO 13485 2016. Let's start with subclause 5.5.1, responsibility and authority. Subclause 5.5.1 states that the top management is required to ensure that the responsibilities and authorities are defined, documented, and communicated within the organization. The clause further says that the top management is required to document the interrelation of all personnel who manage, perform, and verify work affecting quality and must ensure the independence and authority necessary to perform these tasks. Coming to subclause 5.5.2, management representative. The subclause 5.5.2 of ISO 13485 states that top management is required to appoint a member of management who, irrespective of other responsibilities, has responsibility and authority that includes ensuring that processes needed for the quality management system are documented. As per clause, the responsibility and authority of management representative is required to include reporting to the top management on the effectiveness of the quality management system and any need for improvement. This responsibility and authority of management representative is also required to include ensuring the promotion of awareness of applicable regulatory requirements and quality management system requirements throughout the organization. Let's talk about subclause 5.5.3, internal communication. The subclause 5.5.3 of ISO 13485 2016 states that the top management shall ensure that appropriate communication processes are established within the organization and that communication takes place regarding the effectiveness of the quality management system. Coming to clause 5.6, management review. Subclause 5.6.1 general specifies that the organization is required to document procedures for management review. Top management is required to review the organization's quality management system at documented planned intervals to ensure its continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. As per this subclause, the review is required to include assessing opportunities for improvement and the need for changes to the quality management system, including the quality policy and quality objectives. The subclause 5.6.1 states that the records from management reviews are required to be maintained to meet the requirements of the standard. Let's talk about subclause 5.6.2, review input. This subclause 5.6.2 of ISO 13485 specifies that the input to management review is required to include, but is not limited to, information arising from feedback, complaint handling, reporting to regulatory authorities, audits, monitoring and measurement of processes, monitoring and measurement of products, corrective action and preventive action, follow-up actions from previous management reviews, changes that could affect the quality management system, recommendations for improvement, and applicable new or revised regulatory requirements. Coming to subclause 5.6.3, review output. According to the subclause 5.6.3 of standard, the output from management review is required to be recorded. Subclause says that review output is required to include the input reviewed and any decisions and actions related to improvement needed to maintain the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the quality management system and its processes, improvement of product related to customer requirements, changes needed to respond to applicable new or revised regulatory requirements, resource needs. Friends, We have discussed Clause 5 of ISO 13485 2016. I sincerely thank you for all your interest and attention. Thanks and best wishes.